Good afternoon, everyone. We have a couple hours before sunset. Cassie, Bowser, and I just arrived in Arizona. We are spending a month in Arizona, and we're going to set up a tent for the first few days. We have an Airbnb for a month, but that's a couple hours north of here. We are currently in the Quartzsite area, and I bought a big tent. I bought a big, like 8-foot by 8-foot cabin-sized tent that we're going to try to set up out here in the desert. We're going to spend a few days here in the tent while we're in the Quartzsite, Arizona area, while we are attending the RTR, the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous. Cassie, we drove, what, 5 hours to get here today?
Yeah, spread out over a few stops.
How are you feeling?
I'm a little bit tired. I mean, I wasn't the one driving, but it's when you're trying to sleep, but you can't really sleep comfortably, you just stay exhausted. But it was good. I had Bowser in my lap the whole time, and he did well. So he's a good boy.
How's he doing now?
I think he's excited to get out of the car and just walk around and sniff new smells. And I'm excited to stretch my legs too. It's a little bit windy, but being in the sun is really nice and not have to wear my winter coat.
Yeah, we drove here from Wyoming over the last couple of days, so it's good to be in the sun, good to be in the warmth. And the tent is up there. This is the Gazelle T4 tent. It's that big green body bag on top of the roof. Let's unload it and get the tent set up. We had it strapped up here with a couple of ratchet straps, just 2 ratchet straps and then 1 cam strap, and it was super solid up here. It's a fairly big, fairly heavy tent. Like, you wouldn't want to go backpacking with it, but it's not unbearably heavy. We did set this tent up a couple of days ago in my mom's basement just to get an idea for it, and it sets up super fast. That's the reason I wanted this tent versus a more traditional style tent. This sets up in, a minute, a couple minutes, but it's just unwieldy. And this will be a good test for it. Setting it up in the wind will be interesting. Hold on, let's time this. We're gonna do this in real time, guys. Let's see, this is a side right here. So there are 4 walls that you have to set up, and then you go inside and you push the ceiling up. And that's it. That took 39 seconds. Now, of course, we still need to stake it down. Need to find a good orientation for it. And then we'll put the fly on. Let's position it where we want it first. And then at Harbor Freight yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, we picked up a little sledgehammer. It was like $8 or $9. These are pretty beefy stakes, pretty beefy tent stakes. Oh, but that sledgehammer makes it easy. Yeah, I've obviously been to this area a bunch of times before. I knew the ground was very rocky, very hard. And so this is a big quality of life improvement, this hammer. And then for the rain fly here, it has these short little corner poles attached to it. And by the way, this is not sponsored. I have no affiliation with these people. I just bought this tent. This is a pretty popular tent for the overlanding crowd, for those who don't use rooftop tents. And so I've been eyeing these for a while. It's pretty affordable, actually. I think it was only $350, $369, something like that. Okay, that's it. So that took 5 minutes, 25 seconds to get it all staked out with the fly and everything. Now let's see, does this bag have guy lines in it? We might want to set up a couple of these for the walls that face the wind, so the walls don't collapse on us in the middle of the night. All right, guys, that is the entire thing set up, staked out at every corner, and another one on each side. 3 of the 4 sides guyed out, because even though I do have another guy line, I don't have another tent stake. Huh. Okay, let's show you the inside. Also, I realized that the tent is only partially in view here. That's annoying, I'm sorry. That is what the tent looks like. The tent has 2 doors. One is right here. I think we're gonna keep that one zipped up, and then the other one is in here. We're gonna have Cassie and Bowser go inside to give you an idea of how big the tent is. I think the interior height is 6'2" or 3", something like that. And you can, I mean, you can completely stand up. I'm 5'11".
I'm 5'6".
And yeah, we can both stand up. I think that, let's see. Yeah, so I'm 5'11", and even with this little hammock pocket thing here, my head doesn't touch. And if you were to remove that, then I mean, I have another 4 or 5 inches up there. So we have the Land Cruiser on this trip, and as you can see, we have just a bunch of our stuff in here. We could still camp in here, we could still sleep in here. The platform is still in here, the mattresses are still in here, but our gear is in here for now. And so first of all, let's see, I need to find the air mattress, which actually, now that I think about it, is up here in the cargo box, I think. Yeah. So this is our air mattress. This is a more or less queen-sized, semi-self-inflating air mattress. So it's an air mattress, but it does have some foam inside. And I bought this a couple of years ago for another project, for another adventure. Never ended up using it, and so I've had it laying around. And so in this tent, I think 2 of these can fit side by side, more or less. Obviously, we just need the one, so we'll get it all set up. And we should still have room for other furniture in there. So yeah, I have this little pump. This is a battery-powered air pump that I use for my pack raft, but it'll also be good to help speed up the mattress process here. Where do we want the mattress? Do we want it over here?
I don't know, just lay it out and then we can configure it.
Okay. So this mattress has 2 valves on it. One is an air release. I think that's this one, and then I think this one is the one that will inflate the mattress. And like I said, this is technically a self-inflating mattress. I can hear it hissing. Can you guys hear that? But we are going to speed the process up a little bit. Okay, it's been a few minutes and it's more or less filled up. We might need to top it off in an hour or 2 as it gets cooler. We might need to add a little bit more to it. Let's go ahead and seal that off. That took maybe, what, 3 minutes? So there's the mattress, and I'll put links to all of this stuff in the video description if you want to check it out. Again, I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. I bought all of this stuff myself. We've never actually slept on this, so the jury's out on whether it's comfortable or not, but I think our plan is to now add a pair of cots underneath it. So we have, I have a cot that I've used in a previous video. I put that in my SUV and slept on it. And then my mom bought the same cot. And so I borrowed hers when we passed through and we saw her the other day. And so we're gonna get both cots out and see if we can put them underneath this to raise it off the ground a little bit more, make it a little bit more comfortable. It might be too comfortable or like too saggy, but it's worth trying. This is what the cot looks like. It's a fairly small cot. Pretty impressive, actually. Once again, from Amazon. This should take just a minute or two to put together. All right, number 1 of 2 is done. I'll stick this inside the tent here, and then let's work on the second one. Okay, we have both of the cots set up now. I'm trying to not knock the camera over with this one. Okay, our two cots with the mattress. We actually haven't really tried this out yet, but I think that's pretty good. I mean, these are not tall cots. These are like, 6 inches off the ground, but I don't know. We'll see if it works. And now Cassie and Bowser are gonna test it out.
That's pretty good.
You like it?
Yeah.
It's comfy?
Yeah.
Bowser is certainly comfy.
I also was worried about the middle, but I don't really notice the middle, so.
Can't feel the bars.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were considering buying a double cot. So you can buy cots that are big enough for 2 people. But we thought, well, first of all, we might as well try it with what we already have. But then second, the bigger cots do have a pretty stiff bar, running down the middle between the 2 sleeping sections. So that's something we might explore more in the future. But for now, we have a good setup going on here. Let's see, what else? I think we have a little chair and a little table, so let's get those set up. The table is also something that I bought for this trip. This is by King Camp, once again from Amazon, once again not sponsored. This is a cool little table though. It has a bamboo surface on top and it kind of unfolds. Can you see this? Let me adjust the camera here. It feels like a transformer. Isn't that neat? And then this, let's see, I think the legs go up next. 4 legs, of course. And then this comes out this way to stabilize the table. This comes out this way. And that's it. You can adjust the length of these legs. And that's what I wanted. I wanted this to be able to work with a variety of camp chairs. Big enough for 2 people to eat at, just barely, sitting across from each other. We also tested out the dimensions and we should be able to play cards here. But again, more than 2 people wouldn't really work here. But let's go put it in the tent and put some chairs up around it and see how it all fits together. Okay guys, we have about 20 minutes of daylight left, but I think we've gotten it more or less set up for the night. I haven't really shown you the campsite yet, but it's a beautiful area out in the desert. Pretty nice temperatures, but again, the wind, that's really the only negative factor out here. But it's a beautiful day, beautiful country. And let me show you the setup. So this is how we're gonna have it more or less for tonight. Let's go check in on Cassie and Bowser. What do you think? Pretty good, pretty good. So we have, again, the bed on the cots, and then as far as bedding, we have a sheet and then a blanket, like a fuzzy fuzzy blue blanket, and then a couple of sleeping bags on top. We have our little table with a power station, and this is a water jug right here. We have lighting. We have this little lantern right here. We have a USB light bulb hanging from the ceiling, plugged into the little Jackery Explorer 240. We have one chair on that side of the table, and this little stool thing is actually a camp toilet. There's nothing in here, so I can show it to you. So if we need that, we can use it. And then over here, I don't know if this will stay in here. I mean, we have the room for it, but it is kind of in the way, but a nice little lounge chair. I think it's pretty good. What do you think?
I like it. It's nice and cozy.
Is this, well, I guess we won't have a good answer until after we spend a night in here, but is this more or less comfortable than sleeping in the car, do you think?
I think it's more comfortable because with the taller ceiling, it just feels like you have more room. And we do have more room because we have space on the side and just lots of windows so we can get lots of air. I don't know, I think it's more comfortable.
Yeah.
It's not as quiet, but
Yeah, that is always kind of the downside of sleeping in a tent. Like you can see and hear this flapping right here. Tents are kind of annoying. You know, I've never loved tents. That's why I sleep in my car a lot, but we thought we would try something new, use this as sort of a base camp for the next few days, and we'll let you know how it goes. And so this video is going to continue. We're gonna update you guys. We're gonna spend one night in it, we're gonna spend tonight in it, and then tomorrow morning we'll update you and let you know how it went. Our first night in the tent, actually our first night ever together in a tent. I've slept in tents a bunch of times, you know, backpacking and that sort of thing. Cassie has been in tents before on her own, but we've never actually slept in a tent together. In our various cars, yes. In a tent, no. So should be kind of fun. And then also at the end of this 3-day stint that we have here, so again, we're gonna be based here using the tent as a base camp for a few days. And in a few days, we're also gonna update you and let you know some things we wish we had, what went well, what didn't go well. But for now, I'll say goodnight. I'll see you in the morning. Good morning, guys. It's the next morning. Obviously, it's 9:40 in the morning. How'd you sleep?
I slept well. The cushion was really comfortable. I only just got cold in the middle of the night, but that's because one of my sleeping bags had fallen off, so I just put it back on. But I was under a sheet, the fleece blanket, and 2 sleeping bags. And with the second sleeping bag, I was warm enough.
And Bowser got cold off and on throughout the night. Like he would come under the covers with us and then get too hot and go outside of the covers, like go on top of the covers. And then he would just start shaking. And so we'd bring him back under and it would just repeated throughout the night. I slept really well. This was super comfortable. I thought like the bed and the cot situation, like very just cushy and nice. Great air mattress or great camp mattress.
Yeah, and you had mentioned last night, like when I was getting up, that it disperses the movement better so that you don't feel jostled around as much when the other person is moving. And
yeah, so unlike a pure air mattress, like when one person moves, the other person also definitely feels it. This, because it has foam inside of it, it dissipates that motion much more. Super comfortable. I'm really impressed. How about the tent? How did you like being in the tent overall? I
thought it was great because the tall ceilings make it feel bigger. You feel like you can breathe, which is really nice. And the wind died down last night, so it wasn't noisy at all. And
yeah, so as you guys saw, as we were setting up the tent, super windy, and even for the first, I don't know, maybe hour or two after it got dark, it was still fairly windy, but then it kind of dropped off and it started up again this morning. But during the night, during like the heart of the night, it was nice. It wasn't very windy, but man, it still bothers me. Like the sound of being in a tent when there's wind, even a little bit of wind. Like there's not a lot of wind right now. There's a little bit of a breeze, but that sound of just like fabric on fabric, I don't like it.
Yeah, there was a few times where I got scared because it sounded like little coyote footsteps going around.
Yeah, like the padding, like when the fabric would like pat on itself in the wind, it sounded like there were footsteps around, or like animals sniffing.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that and just the sound of the fabric rubbing on itself, you know, it's something you get used to. And I sleep with earplugs in, so it's not a big deal for me. But Cassie doesn't, and so I was worried about her. But we'll see how the next couple of nights go. I think that's going to be it for today for this this morning update. But we'll meet back up with you in a couple of days after we spent another couple of nights here and give you our final thoughts on our little tent setup. So I've been calling this the cabin tent. I don't know if I've mentioned that in the video, if I called it that in the video, but in my mind that's what it's been. And Cassie's like, "Why are you calling it that?" Because to me it feels huge, like it feels like a cabin. And you know, 8 by 8 feet, obviously that's not the size of like a proper cabin, but when you've spent 500 nights in your car, this feels huge, you know? And so this to me is a small cabin tent. And ultimately, you know, we'll get all of our systems dialed out. We had a lot more stuff in here last night, you know, just bringing stuff in from the car. We've kind of cleared it out a little bit. And again, we'll get the system dialed in as we keep going. So anyway, we'll see you guys in a couple days. All right, guys, it is 3 days later. We've spent 3 nights in the tent. What do you think? How's the overall experience been?
It was nice. It was cozy. I really enjoyed having the tent, like a tall tent, so I could stand up, because that made it feel just like it was easier to go in and out of and not feel like I was gonna knock anything over or something.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not used to sleeping in big tents like this. I've never slept in a tent this big, and so for me, it makes it feel less like a tent when it's so tall. When you can actually like stand up and stand around and actually do stuff in it, which is good because again, tents are fine. I don't particularly like tents, but for this use case and for these few days, I thought it was great. Like it was really comfortable at night. Next year we might try to put a heater of some sort inside. How do you feel about that?
That would be nice, just to, I don't know, cut through some of the cold a little bit.
Take the edge off in the morning and at night. Like I'm so used to sleeping in the cold that like it's fine for me. But with Cassie and Bowser, it would be nice to have a little bit of heat. And I have one of those little Mr. Buddy heaters that I use for ice fishing in my ice fishing tent. And so we could just bring that along next time, or, you know, there are lots of options. We could also have like heated blankets maybe, but
nice.
You know, the debate there between a heated blanket and having heat in the thing is interesting because we didn't really want to do much in there because it was cold inside the tent. So like we didn't really use the table very much. I stuck my laptop on it and worked on the laptop a little bit on that first night, but it was just, you know, kind of cold inside. So we didn't want to like play cards or anything like that. Whereas, and so if we had the heated blankets, that would still kind of be the case, right? It would be warmer in bed, but if we had an actual heater blowing hot air, then, you know, it would make the inside just in general feel a little bit warmer.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Another improvement I think we would make, or rather, let's report on the cot situation. It worked really well. Like the bed was super comfortable, and it stayed comfortable all 3 nights. Really good setup, except I would like it to be higher off the ground so that we can store stuff underneath the bed better. That could take the form of getting a cot like I think I talked about earlier, one that is a 2-person cot that's, you know, 14 inches off the ground, 16 inches off the ground, or whatever, like a normal kind of bed is. And then we could have our bags of clothes under there because it got a little bit messy in there. I'll take some footage right now, or I'll show you guys the footage right now of what it looks like inside. And so it's, you know, it's a little bit messy. You know, this morning you kind of cleaned things up a little bit, but there's just a lot of stuff in there, you know. For me, it's a big tent, but it's not a big space in the grand scheme of things. And so having that's just huge amount of space, you know, half the tent basically that we can use to store stuff would be really nice and help cut down on some of the clutter a little bit. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is bathroom stuff. So we had the little toilet in there. Again, I think I showed you that. We didn't use it inside the tent, right? You didn't use it, and I didn't either. It was nice to have that. I think in the future we would probably set up another tent, like those pop-up tents, set that up outside and have that be a dedicated toilet and maybe even bathroom space in general, like having a sink. That could be a good place for the sink because, you know, when Cassie does her makeup or like washes her face, you know, when we're brushing our teeth, it'd be nice to have that. And we didn't cook or anything, but if we did want to wash dishes, it might be nice to have a little setup like that where we could have the sink and the water all in there. I do have one of those pop-up tents. I always have one in the cargo box of the Land Cruiser. And I even have, I don't know if you guys can see it, on the side of the Land Cruiser, there's what looks like an awning, but that's actually a pop-down privacy tent, like a shower tent. I haven't used that. I've used it like twice in the 3 years that I've had it up there. I never use it. The pop-up tents, similar story, I never use it. But I think for a situation like this, where you do have a base camp, where you're in the same place, it makes sense. There are those pop-up tents, like the bathroom tents that have kind of two sections. I think usually it's for like a toilet and a shower, and they're separated. There's a divider between, so we could have one that's kind of a sink bathroom area and one that's the toilet.
Yeah.
We haven't showered in a few days. It's cold to be showering outside. It's doable if you want to spend the time heating up the water, but you know, for just a few days, it's not really worth it. And of course, I have camp shower, all kinds of camp showers, but it's just more convenient to not do that, to have a real shower.
Well, like, I don't feel like I need one right away because I haven't been sweating. I think if I were sweating all day, I would want to, but because it's cooler and I haven't done any hiking, I'm okay. And you're okay just not showering.
Not bathing for days at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, we made it work. Overall, I think it was a success. I thought it was great. Like, it was really nice to just be cuddled up in the tent at night and not have the distractions of home. It was nice. It was good. It was a fun experience. We're going to be doing more of it this year. You know, we'll go on a mountain tent camping trip, and maybe we'll head back to the desert at some point. I don't know. But do you have any other things to mention?
I don't know. It was our first time being in a tent together, so I think it worked out.
Yeah, it was great.
Nicely, yeah.
It was nice.
I was comfortable and it was great. I definitely loved the bed. The foam mattress was great. I mentioned the other night that if it had lost air, which I think it did, I didn't really notice it at all. And we didn't even think about it until I mentioned it.
Because there is enough foam in that.
Enough foam.
In that
but I think the
mattress.
cots help too to give it that extra.
That's true.
That extra cushion.
You're not like right onto the floor
Yeah.
as it loses air.
And so that was great. Whatever cots you get next, I hope it has a little bit more give to it because I appreciate that.
Yeah, that was nice. And again, we didn't really use like the table in there very much, but it was nice to have. It was nice to store stuff on it. And I think, again, if the temperature inside the tent were a little bit nicer early in the morning and late at night, then we would, you know, use the table more. I was basically gone from sunrise to sunset each of the last 3 days, out working, you know, filming people's rigs. And so Cassie was here holding down the fort.
And that's something that we've talked about for a few years, like having a little base camp for me and Bowser while Tristan could go off and do some work or whatever he needed to do, that Bowser and I wouldn't, you know.
They wouldn't have to come with me necessarily.
Yeah.
And if I did leave them behind, they wouldn't have to just stay in a car, you know, for half the day.
And we did it.
Yeah, we did. We finally made it happen. One other thing I wanted to mention is that originally the plan was for me to bring the motorcycle on the back of the Land Cruiser, but I hurt my back, and so I didn't want to deal with moving that heavy machine, especially if I dropped it in the soft sand out here. I didn't want to have to haul it back up. But something like that, combined with this, like Cassie could be here with Bowser in the tent during the day, and I could be off on the motorcycle doing stuff. And so if Cassie wanted to go do her own thing, if she wanted to go into town, or if she needed to leave for whatever reason, she could. I think that's kind of the next evolution of this setup. And of course, the same thing can be done with a camper, like with a trailer. And that's obviously something that we've thought about. Maybe that's something we do in the future, but again, the great thing about the tent is that it just sticks right on top of the Land Cruiser, and that's it, you know. Towing a trailer is just kind of a pain. Maybe worth it under certain circumstances, and again, maybe we'll investigate that more in the future. I've kind of considered getting an enclosed cargo trailer and then building that out to be a camper. So maybe next year we'll do that. But for now, this $300 tent is much more appealing than a multi-$1,000 camper. And so for that, you really can't complain. The tent itself did well. That first night as we were setting it up was the windiest time it was. Like now there's a little bit of a breeze, not too bad.
And it's died down every night, so
Yeah.
it's never been a problem at night.
Yeah, it was just a little bit noisy that first night with the material flapping. Again, that could be saved with additional tie-outs, additional guy lines. Like there are grommets right here, so I could have a separate guy line coming out just to make it a little bit more taut. We'll see if we need to do that in the future. But the tent itself was pretty great. We really like the two entrances. So there's a door here and a door on the other side. Tons of big windows, lots of light, super easy to set up. Presumably it'll be easy to take down. I'm happy with it. I'm pretty happy with it. So I think that's about it. Thanks for watching, guys. I don't know if this was just, you know, I don't know how interesting this was, us just rambling here, sitting and rambling. But yeah, it's an easy way for camping with multiple people without having to buy a camper. And it's relatively cheap. So in case you're also in the market, I hope this video was helpful. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you have any questions, and we'll see you in the next one. And we didn't talk about the goat, so they'll just be like, what is there? What's the goat doing there? Be sure to check out Adventure Know-How, my new site, where you can gain access to a map of all of my free campsites, plus monthly bonus videos that you won't find anywhere else. Learn more at adventureknowhow.com. And for links to everything else SUV RVing related, visit suvrving.com. Links to these sites and more will be in the video description.